Okay, I'm logging into Oracle now with my username and password. I'm just clicking in login, and we'll have a couple more windows open, and just going to the responsibility that I'm looking for, which is the payables responsibility for the UK, which is where we want to enter the employee expenses. So just clicking down the menu to get to that point. So we're at the home page here, and I want to get into the core Oracle forms. So you can see a little circle whirring about next to the cursor. It's going to open up a couple of forms now to get us into the main applications, the core forms, where I can start entering transactions and querying transactions and run reports and run programs in the background. And there we go, there's a couple of windows opening up now to get into Oracle. So very exciting. This now takes us into core forms. I can see the form at the top. It says that it is the payables responsibility. So let's go over to invoices and maximise that and go to invoice entry in a second. I'll just show you a bit more of the menu here to see some of the other functions available. Just clicking the pluses just to show you a few other items in the menu. So let's go to invoices entry, and we want to enter in expenses for employees. I'll bring it over to my top 10 lists. In future I don't need to open and close and expand. I can just go straight into the top 10 to enter employee expenses. So just going into that core form now. Okay, employee expenses. Who do you want to create it for? Click on the pick list at the end, and I'll put in a wildcard percentage to bring up all values, and I'll choose an employee and OK to that and start entering details required for the expense. And this employee is for the UK, which is company of 20. I'm going to inquiry mode now. For those who know that, we now go into F11 mode. It makes the yellow turn into blue. I'll put in some wildcard percentage signs. And the reason for that is I'm looking for account code combinations that will work for company 20. So I can't think of any on the top of my head, so I'm just querying to find it this way. And it should then populate it with the account code combination string. And coming up any second now. Yeah, that's in, and I'll just give an invoice number and an invoice amount and the date. Okay, so there's our amount. Now, what was it for? What are these expenses for? Let's choose something from the list of values here and put an amount against it. You can put in the whole amount or a partial amount, and we can do a line too. So let's look at that. Account code combination works very nicely. Yeah, that's options there to choose from, and happy with what's been populated. Okay to that, and let's move over to the second line of expenditure. Again, choose from the list of values, and yep, happy with the account. That looks very reasonable, and okay. Right. I'll save that. Save again, we're happy. So we've created an employee expense in Oracle. What we're really looking to do from here is to create the AP invoice for it. So just show some more tabs of the employee expense just so you can see full information, what's contained here. And the default tabs as default information, sorry. Let's get back to accounting. Okay, so we've got a fair idea of what that form looks like. You can see some drop downs as well, containing more information with an idea of what currency we're actually working in. Look at some of the menu toolbars at the top. Okay. Okay, we've entered the employee expense, and what we need to do now is to run a program. So just go to requests and run, and what we want to do is to run the export report, and the aim of that is to check. What we want to do is to convert the convert the expense report into an AP invoice. So what I want to do now is, within the percentages, is to look for the export report. So I'll just type in export to reduce all the searches and then pick it from the list of available ones. We can see it there, export report, and I'll click OK to that, and just entering in a couple of parameters, just giving it a name at the top so it'll be easy to identify for later, and choosing the source of where it's coming from, also very important. So it's payables expense reports, and it's for the UK operating unit, and I'm happy with that, so I'm okay to submit this. So waiting for that to be submitted, and click OK. Now let's view that program which is running in the background and complete it. So I'll just click on refresh data a few times, and what I'm looking to do is for that green to turn grey. So I want it to eventually go to complete to normal. So almost there. I'm getting there now, and it's complete. Good. So I should now be able to navigate back to the invoices workbench, which is what I'm about to do, and I'll use the simple query which you may know about, which is Control and F11, which would populate the form with all data. So here we go, it's empty at the moment, so I'm just pressing Control and F11, and it's having a think, and we'll return back all invoices. Good. You can see at the top there's a type expense, and that's what we're looking for, different to standard invoices, because this was from an employee expense. So we can see a few that are already there, and once they were here, there's only two other things we need to do to complete this, and that would be going to the Actions 1 button at the bottom and to validate it and account it, which has already been completed in this example. So we'll just go to Apply 1 and Validate, and then go Apply 1 again, and I'd go to Create Accounting, and I'd do that to post it into GL, so go OK. So in fact, why don't we do that? Let's go over now and head up to General Ledger for the UK and see if we can see the corresponding journals there. So I'll change responsibility, click on the black hat, switch responsibility, and go to UK General Ledger, and I'll open up in the Functions tab and go to Journals Enter, and in Journals Enter I'll pick a date range of the date when those journals were created, just to reduce the number of journals being returned to us, and click on Find, and you can see them there. So if you look in the category, have a look at the purchasing and also the payments, that gives us an indication of the AP invoices that were created in AP, and then those that were actually finally paid as in payments within AP as well, and the corresponding journal entries as well. So you can see some of these journals were batched together in payments. I might have had an employee expense, I might have had two employee expenses, for example, but when I paid them, they commuted together to give me an overall payment. And if we want, we can actually open up any of these lines and have a look at the actual journal. So I might go to Review Journal in a second and have a look at what a journal looks like in General Ledger. So we'll see a header in a journal, and we'll see a couple of lines for the debits and credits in a second. And we just go to Review Journal. So just move the cursor now to Review Journal to open it up. And here we go. Right, so you can see at the top the journal name, and we can see the journal lines, the account code distributions there, and the associated debits and credits for this particular journal. So now we've seen the interaction between creating an expense report, running a program to create the AP invoice in the invoice workbench, seeing it being validated, seeing the accounting being created, and thank you very much.